Hello everyone, this is Suneve and I'm coming to you with You'll Learn to Love Me, Yandere Masky X-Reader by FluffyWubs. We're going to be starting off with chapter 24. I feel nauseous. I hear Lou bluntly blurt out. His body was stretched along the couch as his head comfortably rested on my lap. I pause my attention from the TV as I shift my gaze down to Lou. I know you do, I respond, patting his messed up hair. I hear him mutter something that's inaudible to me as he buries his face near my stomach. What was that? I ask. You're so nice to me, darling. He mutters against the fabric of my shirt. I arch a brow. It's just in my nature to be kind to people, I guess. Just before I was about to respond, Lou adds something else to his sentence. Even after all I've done to you, you still forgive me, don't you? He questions. I have absolutely no idea what he's talking about, but as I've been doing for the past few hours, I just keep playing along. Of course, I respond, brushing my fingers through his hair. I can hear him chortle a muffled laugh into my shirt as he wraps his arms around my waist. You're so nice, he sighs out. I let out a hum, patting the top of his head. If anything, he should get some rest instead of blurting out nonsense from one second to another. I bite the inside of my cheek and glance over to one of the windows, taking a quick look outside. The weather was getting worse by the second, and Masky still wasn't back. Hell, why am I even worried? I don't know. I really wish I could just not care at all. I pursed my lips, traveling my gaze over to the door, as if Masky could burst in any second. It's been a couple of hours now, and I need to know for sure if he left. The only way to know this is to go into the entrance of the woods and check if my car is still there. After all, Masky is the only one that has the keys to my car. Lou, how about you get some rest? I look down at him as he moves his head away from my stomach to look at me. In your room, I mean. I quickly add. Lou lets out a groan, rubbing his eyes. I want to stay here, he retorts, grabbing one of my hands and pressing my palm against his cheek. Well, he's not as hot as he was before, so that's a good sign. I need to do a few things, and you definitely need some sleep. Go rest up your head. I smile, grabbing a pillow as I slowly shift away from Lou, using the pillow as a replacement for my lap. Lou frowns as he watches me stand up. Oh, he simply mumbles, shifting his gaze to the ground. He sounds and looks disappointed, and if I'm right, it shouldn't be too hard to cheer up an intoxicated person. Before you wake up, I'll have a surprise for you ready. I blurt out the first thing that comes to mind. Now I only have to hope he doesn't remember my words by the time he sobers up. Lou manages to smile slightly, finally standing up from his relaxed position. Okay, he responds, pausing a bit to get rid of what I assumed the dizziness of standing up too quickly. I'll see you when, He seems to not be able to think straight and shakes his head instead of finishing his sentence. Good night, darling. He grabs my shoulders and plants a kiss on my forehead. I tense for a few seconds at the sudden contact, but quickly enough relax. Well, it's not night, but oh well. Night, Lou. I give him a wave as he makes his way up the stairs, disappearing into the hallway. I let out a tiresome breath. I'll just make a quick trip out and be right back. It shouldn't take too long, right? We're not that deep into the forest. I head over to the coat hanger and grab the jacket Lou previously gave to me. I slip on the jacket as I open up the door to step outside. Mother Nature seems to be having a bad day today because the moment I step out, a gust of wind almost makes me tumble to the side. The snow, which is now practically turned into ice, isn't helping the situation either. I shut the door behind me and try to pull my hood up. Not even the hood of the jacket could stay over my head. It would just blow back to its original state. I give up on trying to shield my head and make my way through the wind and ice, trying my best not to slip and hurt myself. I tap my fingers on the table impatiently. Emily is seated next to me, nervously fiddling with her fingers. Tim was supposed to meet us at the local cafe, but he still hasn't showed up. He doesn't look like the type of person that would kidnap someone, I hear Emily mutter. I cast a glance towards her, her gaze fixated on her fiddling fingers, looking visibly nervous. She seemed confident a few minutes ago, and now she's nervous all of a sudden. No matter, we can't back away now. I got everything with me, my badge, weapon, cuffs, just in case. Anyone could be a crime doer, no matter how they look like, I simply state, moving my gaze back to the door of the cafe. Emily lets out a hum and stares out the display window of the cafe. We both sit in silence, hoping Tim would show up sooner or later. I suddenly feel a hand squeezing my arm. There he is, I hear Emily whisper. Her voice is low and soft as she points out the display window. She's right, I can see him walking past from the other side of the street, crossing the road to get over to the building we were in. Okay, stay cool, don't panic. I hear Emily speak to no one in particular. She sucks in a breath and exhales deeply, letting go of my arm. There's no need to be nervous, but oh well. The door to the cafe opens up, making a tinkling noise from the bell ring throughout the small place. I can see Tim's eyes scan over the tables for a few seconds before he catches my gaze. He smiles and walks over to our table. Guess we're meeting again, huh? Tim jokes as he takes a seat across from me, sticking his hand out. I firmly shake his hand and clear my throat. Yes, I guess so. I respond. We've only seen each other once for only a couple of seconds at Ryan's apartment. I'm surprised he still remembers that he has seen me before. Tim turns to Emily and gives her a warm smile. Good to see you again, Emma. He nods his head. Emily forces a smile upon her lips and nods her head. You too, Tim, she replies. Tim folds his arms over the table and turns back to look at me. So I understand you found a lead to where Ryan might be? Tim asks, arching one of his brows. Emily and I share glances before I nod, shifting myself into a more straight position. Yes, I did. I actually have a video to show you. I'm not going to lie. I've slipped more than 2 times and got up onto my feet with difficulty. It took me more than 20 minutes to get to the entrance of the forest and near the empty highway because of the cool weather, and all I found was, well, nothing. My car was parked right in front of the forest, that's for sure, but I was greeted by nothing, no car, no Masky. This only means he left. But why? Why would he leave without telling me anything? I feel betrayed, even though I'm not supposed to. In fact, I should be glad. I should be glad he's gone. This could give me the advantage to escape. A sudden blow of the wind knocks me off my feet again, causing me to fall on my rear on the ice. I hiss to myself and place my hands on the cold ground to push myself back up. Well, maybe I can escape once the weather clears up a bit. Time to make my way back. I retract my phone back into my pocket. Tim's face is noticeably paler, but his posture remains the same. He remains calm in his seat, and I showed him the security footage that Emily and I found back at Ryan's apartment. I fold my hands together over the table, trying to look as professional and calm as I could. Looking Tim directly in the eye, I arch a brow. Any comment on that? I question. Tim purses his lips and rests his head on the palm of his hand. What do you want me to tell you? Tim asks. Ah, he's playing dumb. My patience is slowly running out, but I still manage to stay calm. Last time Ryan was seen was with you. You were the one to take her out of our apartment, so you should know what happened after you left with her, I state firmly, piercing my harsh gaze into him. Tim looks exceptionally unfazed by this whole ordeal and simply stares at me with a blank stare. Nothing at all. She wasn't feeling well and could barely stand on her feet. I took her outside to get some air and returned her once she felt better. He bluntly spits out in such a tone as if it were obvious. My frustration was getting the best of me, and I gripped the fabric of my jeans to contain myself from practically yelling at him for being such a moron. I'm not an idiot. Of course he's lying. Why don't we see you going back inside, then? Emily decides to ask in a nervous tone, nervously shifting her gaze from me to Tim. Tim turns to look her way and furrows his brows. I don't know, the camera might have not picked it up, he states nonchalantly as he shrugs. I stitch my eyebrows together and slam a fist on the table. I'm not letting him play the innocent card. I know he took her, and I know that he knows exactly where she is. Stop playing dumb. I sneer. Tim raises his brows, looking taken aback just like Emily. I know damn right you took her somewhere. You're probably the one causing the disappearances here, aren't you? I stand up from my seat, slightly leaning over the table. The few people in the cafe and even the workers stopped what they were doing to see what was going on. Tim's lips curl into a small smile as he looks up at me with an innocent look. Why would you suspect me of doing that? He questions softly. Emily looks visibly shaken up. The proof is right here. I fish my phone out of my pocket. We saw you on the video. You were the one that took her to God knows where, so you might as well spill it out now. I hiss bitterly, stuffing my phone back into my pocket. Tim simply hums and shrugs. That's not enough proof. I haven't done anything, and you can't just blame me for something you know nothing about, he states. Oh, so now he thinks he can outsmart me. Tough luck. Just as I open my mouth, Tim cuts me off. I suggest you sit back down. You're causing a scene, he says. I take a short look around, noticing how all gaze are fixated on our table. Apologetic and embarrassed, I slowly sit back down on my seat, avoiding everyone else's gaze. I shouldn't get over myself so quickly. I need to calm down. I have to stay professional. Emily nervously shifts in her spot, being as silent as a mouse. I let out a deep, deep sigh. Tim, I finally speak up, tilting my head up to look at him from across the table. Yes? He smirks slightly. If I can only wipe that stupid smirk off his face in an instant. He's not innocent. I know he's not. Did you or did you not leave the apartment with YN? I question. I did. He responds shortly after. Then why didn't you return with her after you left, I ask. Tim shrugs again. I told you I got her back once she felt better. The camera might not have picked that up. He replies a bit more coldly. I let out a soft grunt out of frustration, and he's giving me this bullshit talk. I feel Emily's hand softly grab the sleeve of my jacket. Maybe he's at it. Maybe we might be wasting time, she softly states. Tim lightly drums his fingers on the table, and I jerk my arm back and huff. He's the killer, I know he is, I hiss. Emily hits my arm lightly. You can't just assume that without any evidence, Dylan, she hisses. I furrow my brows and purse my lips as I stare down Tim, who still looks relaxed as ever. You're right, I state calmly. I move my hand in my back pocket, taking out the cuffs I brought with me. But I can't arrest him for suspicion of being the murderer. Once I got back into the cabin, Lou was still asleep in his room, or so I assumed. It took an hour or two before he finally woke up, and once he did, he looked a lot better than before. His speech wasn't slurred, nor did he feel hot to the touch, and he only looked like he didn't get enough sleep, but that's not too worrying. At the moment, Lou and I were sitting on the couch. Whiskers decided to finally join us and sit on my lap as Lou and I kept our gazes on the TV. I told him about how Masky left the cabin and hasn't come back since the morning. I didn't really tell him anything about what happened whilst he was intoxicated, or else it'd be pretty awkward. He gave me the chance to leave again, but with this weather, I can't make it on my own. It seems like every time I get the chance to leave, Mother Nature just screws up my day. You seem fidgety, are you worried? Lou suddenly speaks up with his hoarse, tired voice. Is it that noticeable? I don't know, it's just, I hesitate. Why would Masky leave all of a sudden? I don't understand, I sigh. Lou bites the bottom of his lip. I'm sure he has a good reason for it, Lou states, and I'd hope so, honestly. If he doesn't come back in an hour, then I nervously bite the inside of my cheek. I worry too much even when I shouldn't. I'm going to go look for him, I state firmly as I promise to myself. Lou looks at me with a worried look. You told me he took your car, which means he's probably somewhere far. How are you going to get there? Lou questions. Good question. I look down at my lap, keeping my gaze on Whisker's fur. I don't know, I admit. Lou pauses to look at me before sighing. I'll help you out. I have a motorcycle, after all, Lou says, rubbing the back of his neck. I look back up at Lou and give him the most warmest and thankful smile I could muster. Thank you, Lou. I give him a quick side hug with one arm, since I didn't want to move too much in case I disturbed Whiskers. Lou smiles a bit, patting the top of my head. Yeah, no problem. This is ridiculous. I glare at Tim, whose hands were cuffed behind his back as he sat on one of the chairs in the police station. I'm not originally the one who was assigned to the entire investigation. I mean, yeah, I was supposed to be some sort of undercover spy and then leave the rest to the actual investigator, but seeing how he didn't do anything, I decided to be the one to step forward and take his spot. Emily had to wait outside, or rather, in the waiting room. She wasn't a witness when it all happened, so she had no use here. If you spit it out now, it just might convince the others to give you less jail time, I state. Of course, this is just a tactic to make the suspect speak up. He'll get the years he deserves. Tim scoffs and looks away. Look, I'm just telling you that you're wasting your time. I'm not the guy you're looking for, Tim bluntly states. The nerve of this asshole. He dares to keep up this lying charade. God, if Wyan were here, she'd... I wasn't able to finish my sentence because of Tim cutting me off. Don't talk about her, he bluntly stated. I furrow my brows. Why, does it bother you? You were the one that caused her disappearance, after all, I spat. Tim lets out a sigh. For the last time, I have absolutely nothing to do with this. You saw me carrying her on the tape, so that definitely means I'm the killer in this town, he rolls his eyes. Officer Dillon? I perk my head up at the mentioning of my name. I turn over to one of my coworkers. He had a few documents in his hands, through which he skimmed through in just a few seconds. Yes, I question. Do you have the testimony? He questions, arching a brow. Ah, the proof. I quickly pat my pockets to feel for my phone, only to realize it's not with me. I curse under my breath as I pat all my pockets in a hurry. Tim gives me a sly smile. What's the matter, officer? You lost something? He teasingly asks. I narrow my eyes at him and I scoff. I probably left it in the car. I'll be right back, I state. I power walk my way out of the room, feeling Tim's eyes practically follow me until I'm out of his sight. I know he's the killer, and I'll be sure to prove it. That is the end of that chapter. The chapter after that is chapter 25. Let me know how you guys feel about that, and I will see you guys in the next video. Until next time, bye-bye.